Welcome to TalkEdge, the channel that helps you improve your English listening every day through short stories. Please note, these stories are completely fictional and created solely to support your listening practice. Whether you're working or still in school, if your goal is simply to sharpen your listening skills, join us on this journey to mastering English. And now, let's get started.
You know, Peter, when I first started learning English, I was so excited. I watched English movies with subtitles, I sang along to pop songs, and I even tried to talk to myself in the mirror. But after a few months, all that motivation just disappeared.
I totally understand, Lisa. It's something that happens to almost everyone. We start with energy and hope, but somewhere along the way, life gets busy, we get discouraged, or we just feel stuck. It's not that we stop wanting to learn, it's that we forget why we started.
Exactly. I remember asking myself, what's the point? I wasn't using English in real life. My progress felt slow, and honestly, it felt like a waste of time.
And that feeling of learning something without seeing results can be so frustrating. But here's the thing, when motivation fades, it's not a sign to quit. It's a sign to pause and reconnect with your why.
Yeah, the why. That's something I never really thought about. I just wanted to speak English because, well, it seemed like the right thing to do. Everyone was doing it.
That's common. A lot of people learn English because of pressure, school, work, society. But if the reason isn't personal and meaningful, it doesn't last. So let me ask you, Lisa, if you could go back to the start, what would your why be?
I think it would be to connect. I've always wanted to travel, to make friends around the world, and to understand the lyrics of my favorite songs without translation. I want English to help me feel more connected to the world.
That's a beautiful reason, and it's something you can emotionally connect with. When you learn for connection, every new word becomes a bridge. Every sentence is a step toward new relationships, new places, and new experiences.
So you're saying that when we feel lost, we should go back and remember our personal why, the deeper reason?
Exactly, and sometimes we need to redefine it. Your reason can evolve. Maybe at first it was just to pass an exam, but now maybe it's to move abroad, watch your favorite Netflix show without subtitles, or get a job you love. The reason can change, but we have to own it.
That makes sense. And you know what helped me recently? Writing it down. I took 5 minutes and wrote, "I'm learning English so I can travel the world with confidence," and I stuck it on my mirror.
That's powerful. It becomes a visual reminder every day. When you're tired, when you don't feel like studying, that little note brings you back.
Exactly, and it's not just motivation, it's like an anchor, a reason to keep going, even on the boring days.
Right? And it helps to make your goals small and clear too. Instead of saying, "I want to be fluent," you can say, "This week, I want to learn 10 new words about food." Or, "I want to understand one full episode of Friends without subtitles."
Wow, yeah, because fluency feels so far away. But 10 words, I can do that. It feels achievable.
That's the trick. Motivation dies when the goal feels impossible, but it comes back when the goal feels doable.
So step 1 is remember your why, and step 2 is break it down into small, meaningful goals.
Exactly. And I'd add a third step. Track your progress, even just a little. Keep a journal, a voice memo, or a checklist. Every step you complete is proof that you're moving forward.
Oh, I like that. Maybe I'll start a little English wins diary. Every time I understand a joke in English or use a new word, I'll write it down. That's a great idea. Motivation isn't just about hype. It's about seeing that your efforts are working, even if it's slow. Progress is the best motivation.
You know, Peter, I feel so much better now. Just talking about this made me want to pick up my notebook again.
That's the beauty of reflection. Sometimes we don't need a new method. We just need a new mindset.
I'm going to challenge myself today. I'll set one small English goal and write down my why again.
I'm with you. Let's make a promise to ourselves and to our listeners. This week, let's choose one thing to work on, one reason to remember, and one step forward.
I love that. And to anyone listening, maybe you've been stuck, bored, or thinking about quitting. You're not alone. But maybe, just maybe, today is the day you remember why you started.
And once you remember that, you can begin again, stronger and more excited than ever. Peter, you know what? One of the reasons I started enjoying English again was when I stopped studying the normal way and started doing it my way.
Oh, tell me more. What was your way?
I've loved US/UK pop music since I was a kid. So instead of memorizing grammar rules, I listened to songs, printed out the lyrics, and underlined new words. It was fun, and it actually stuck.
I love that. Learning through what you love, that's the key. When you're listening to English music, your brain isn't being forced. It's enjoying the ride.
Exactly. And I wasn't just learning vocabulary, I picked up emotion, rhythm, even bits of culture.
I have a weird method too. I listen to English podcasts about history. I don't understand everything, but the topic keeps me hooked.
So you learn through passion, not a textbook?
That's right. A lot of people think learning has to be structured, serious, but in truth, language learning is about expanding your world. And everyone has their own door into it.
Some people love learning through movies, others through games, some scroll TikTok or binge YouTube. The point is to find a way that makes you want to learn, not feel like you have to.
I once had a student who loved cooking. I told her to study English through recipes and cooking videos. A few months later, she was watching MasterChef with no subtitles.
That's amazing. So what's the trick? How do people find their method?
Start with a simple question. What do I love outside of English?
Like if I love football, I should watch English match commentaries?
Exactly. Or if you're into fashion, follow influencers or watch beauty hauls in English. When you combine language with passion, your brain absorbs it emotionally. It sticks.
But what about people who say, I don't really have a passion? What then?
Try different things. It's like tasting new foods. Maybe podcasts, sitcoms, learning apps, language exchange, or even talking with AI. Don't be afraid to fail. Just keep trying until you find what brings you joy.
I used to hate speaking English, but then I started gaming online and chatting with foreigners. Suddenly, it wasn't scary. It was fun. My grammar wasn't perfect, but I was talking.
That's when learning comes alive. When you use English not for a test, but to express yourself.
And I noticed something. I learned more from having fun than I ever did from forcing myself to study.
Exactly. Joy is a stronger engine than any textbook. If you pair it with small, consistent habits, you'll never burn out.
Honestly, I can't remember all the grammar rules, but I can quote whole scenes from Friends because I've watched them a dozen times.
I bet you remember the intonation, the way they said the lines too, right?
Totally. I even copied Joey's accent for fun.
That's called natural input. It's how kids learn first, by listening, mimicking, then writing. Adults can learn the same way.
So to sum it up, learning English in a fun way means 1. Know what you love. 2. Find English content related to that. 3. Allow yourself to try, fail, and explore. 4. Repeat it regularly but gently.
Perfect. And remember, fun doesn't mean lazy. It means creating an environment where you want to return every day.
Way better than studying intensely for 3 days and quitting for a month.
If you're listening and feeling bored or stuck, ask yourself, am I learning my way? If not, it's time to switch it up.
You don't need to copy anyone else. Learn in a way that makes you smile. That's the right way. Peter, can I confess something? I love learning, but I get bored easily. If something feels like a chore, I just can't stick with it.
You're not alone, Lisa. That's why so many people quit learning languages. It starts fun, but the moment it feels like homework, motivation drops.
So, how do we keep it fun? Don't tell me to just try harder. That never works for me.
No, I'll tell you something better. Turn it into a game.
A game like Level Up in English?
Exactly. That's called gamification, using game-like elements to make learning more engaging. Points, challenges, streaks like in apps such as Duolingo, Memrise, or even custom flashcards.
I actually used Duolingo once. I got addicted to keeping my streak alive. I didn't want to break my 7-day record.
See? That's the power of simple rewards. It tricks your brain into wanting to come back, like a mini win every day.
But do games really help us learn, or are they just distractions?
They help if used right. The trick is to combine fun with function. For example, if you play a vocabulary game that helps you remember words through repetition, it's still effective.
So we reward ourselves for studying?
Even better, make studying feel like the reward. You can set goals like, if I complete 15 minutes of English practice, I get a treat. If I hit a 5-day streak, I watch a favorite show guilt-free. If I learn 50 new words this month, I'll buy myself that thing I've wanted.
Oh, I did something like that once. I told myself, if I finish this English workbook, I get bubble tea. I finished it in a week.
That's the idea. Reward effort, not just results. Every small win deserves celebration.
Okay, but what about when you fail? Like when you forget to study or break your streak?
Great question. Here's a golden rule. Progress isn't a straight line. It's a video game level. You fail, you try again. Losing one day isn't the end. Restart the next day. No guilt.
I like that. It's like a reset button. We don't quit the game just because we lose one life.
Exactly. Gamification is about mindset, turning frustration into curiosity, turning goals into challenges, and most importantly, making the process enjoyable.
Can you give me some creative ideas to make English feel like a game?
Sure, try these. 1. Create a bingo board. Write down 9 English activities, like watch 1 video, read a short article, learn 5 idioms. Cross off each one like a mission. 2. Make a level up sheet. Every 10 new words equals 1 level. Give yourself ranks, like beginner wizard to grammar ninja. 3. English challenge jar. Write fun dares on paper slips. Talk to someone for 3 minutes in English, or order food in English. Pull 1 each day.
Oh my gosh, I love this. It makes studying feel playful, not painful.
And you can do it solo or with a friend. Imagine having a study battle with someone. Who can complete more mini tasks in a week?
That's genius. I'll challenge my friend tomorrow. First one to lose a streak buys coffee.
Now that's learning with stakes.
So to wrap it up, if learning feels like a chore, make it a game. Add fun, rewards, goals, even friendly competition.
Right. The brain learns better when it's engaged, not stressed. When you enjoy the process, results follow naturally.
And even if we mess up or skip a day, it's not failure. It's just part of the game.
Exactly. So to everyone listening, what's one way you can gamify your English learning today?
Try one idea, just one. And who knows, you might start looking forward to study time. Peter, I have a question. What do you think is more important, learning a lot in one weekend or studying a little bit every day?
Great question. Definitely the second one. Learning English is like growing a plant. You don't pour all the water in one day. You water it a little each day.
I used to think I needed to study for hours to make progress, but I always ended up exhausted and discouraged.
Exactly. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency. Even 10-15 minutes a day can create massive progress if you stick with it.
Okay, but what if someone says I'm too busy? What do we tell them?
We say start tiny. 1 English word a day, 1 sentence, 1 minute of audio. The point isn't how much, but how often.
That makes sense. And honestly, when I started doing just 10 minutes a day, I didn't feel pressure. It was enjoyable.
Yes, habits should feel light. When it feels easy, you're more likely to come back tomorrow.
I once tried the don't break the chain method. I put a calendar on my wall, and every day I studied English, I put a red X. It became kind of addictive. I didn't want to skip a day.
That's a fantastic method. Visual progress is motivating. When we can see how far we've come, we naturally want to keep going.
So true. And not just time spent. We should also track our actual progress, right?
Absolutely. Track things like how many new words you learned, how many minutes you listened, a sentence you were proud to say, a message you sent in English.
I started writing a little English journal. It's not perfect, but when I read my first entries, I realize how far I've come.
Exactly. That's called visible growth, and it matters more than test scores or certificates.
Sometimes I even record my voice. Like I say something simple in English once a week. I cringe at my first few recordings, but now I actually sound kind of natural.
That's awesome, and it shows how much you've improved. These little markers, journal entries, voice recordings, vocabulary notes, they remind us that we're not standing still.
But Peter, what if someone doesn't feel like they're improving?
Good question. Progress is sneaky. Sometimes it's quiet. You may not feel it daily, but one day you'll surprise yourself. Understanding a full podcast, or talking to a stranger, or watching a show without subtitles.
That's exactly what happened to me. I watched a full interview on YouTube without pausing, and it just hit me. I understood all of that.
That moment is golden. That's when you realize the habit is working.
Okay, so to stay excited while learning, we should 1. Keep it small and consistent. 2. Track our progress. 3. Celebrate little wins. 4. Be patient. Trust the process.
Exactly. And when things feel boring or stuck, switch it up. Change your method. Change your content. Even change your learning time.
Oh yes, I used to study at night and always felt sleepy. Now I do 10 minutes in the morning while brushing my hair. Works like magic.
It's all about rhythm. Learning English should fit into your life, not the other way around.
Last question. How do we stay motivated long term?
One word, identity. Don't say, I'm trying to learn English. Say, I'm the kind of person who learns English every day. When it becomes part of who you are, it lasts.
Wow. So it's not just about the habit, it's about becoming someone new.
Yes, you're not just learning a language, you're building a new version of yourself. Confident, capable, and connected to the world.
That's beautiful. So to anyone listening, don't worry if you're not perfect. Just keep going. Tiny steps every day.
And trust me, one day you'll look back and say, I didn't know when it happened, but I made it. Thanks for sticking with us and listening to the end of today's TalkEdge episode. Don't worry if you didn't understand everything or only caught a little. I truly believe that with consistent practice, your listening skills will improve a lot. So keep going. You've got this. If you found today's content helpful, don't forget to follow and share it with your friends who are also learning English. That's all for now. See you in the next episode. Keep listening. Keep learning.